What's going on, guys? Welcome along to another video. I'm Matt over at DSR, and today we're taking out this KTM 1290 Super Duke car from Whole Shop. When you look at KTM's website, they refer to this bike as a beast, and I can confirm, even just in rain mode, that's exactly what this bike is. It wouldn't be true KTM form if something straight away wasn't perfect. Both the mirrors are loose. Ignore that. Just concentrate on the engine. So the engine in this is the 1301cc V-twin, an absolute beast. It's got 180 brake horsepower and 140 newton meters of torque. This thing absolutely rips if you want it to. Currently I've got it in rain mode, so I'm just testing it out, getting the feel for it, and then I'll progress through the other modes as we go through the video. But so far, rain mode is really nice and gentle off the throttle for that initial pickup. You do find sometimes that these big V-twins can be a bit lumpy. Really nice and smooth. KTM have done a really good job on that fueling. Don't be fooled by it being in rain mode. Like, if you want this thing will still launch you into the oblivion. The price of this motorcycle is £17,000. It's not a small amount of money, but you know, KTM, there's always something bigger and more expensive, and that is the KTM 1290 Super Duke GT. So £17,000, what do you get for your money? Well, first of all, there's two different colour options. We've got this, which is the orange, so the bulk is orange with a bit of the grey on the tank, or the other one is like a blue with an orange, and I definitely prefer the blue colour. I think it just adds a nice little difference to your standard KTM orange. Moving on to the electronics then on this motorcycle, it's kind of middle of their pack with kind of what is on this motorcycle. So we do have rider modes, as you can tell there: rain, street, sport, performance and track. If you know anything about KTM bikes, you know that they love to charge you optional extras, and that is absolutely no difference with this bike. So modes like track mode, that's going to be an extra purchase. I believe performance is where you can kind of dial in all the parameters, so you kind of still get the same flexibility with track mode whilst keeping its road orientated electronics. Apologies there, had to pull over and I put in some fuel. Even though this tank does look pretty big, it has only got a 16 litre tank. If there's anything like my Aprilia, you're going to be filling it up pretty often. I'm 6'1", seat height of 835mm, and I've got the toes and the balls of my feet, but not the heels. Just something to be mindful of. Doing 20-30 through these kind of back roads, country villages. Nice wide handlebar, helps with missing all those potholes. The bike isn't heavy, or it doesn't feel it. It's 205 kilos. Slow manoeuvring is pretty easy. I'm now in sport mode, and the fueling with that throttle response is still really nice and easy. So second gear, 20-25 miles an hour, just gently rotating that wrist. There isn't that jerkiness that you found I found on the MT10, because that would be like this, very on and off. We are running S22s as stock, just because that initial pickup on the throttle is nice and gentle. Don't be fooled, anything other than rain mode and this thing can get very aggressive very quickly. By that I mean like the front end just lofts if you're not careful. Luckily there is anti-wheelie mode on this, so you can turn it on or off. I've got it off. if you're not used to a bike with this kind of power and torque, I recommend keeping it on for a bit until you get used to the bike. I love country roads. Stop messing around and let's get back to electronics on this motorcycle. So covered off about the rider modes. Moving on to the handlebars then, they are backlit switch gears, so that is nice. So during the night time you can actually see the buttons you're trying to push. We do have cruise control on this as standard. Quick shifter up and down. Works really good. Really good. I like it. It works nice and seamlessly, unlike some of the other KTM shifters that I have used in the past. This bike does have the ability to turn off the rear ABS as well, so it's called Supermoto ABS. Basically you can do slides and skids, but I'm not talented like that, so I'll always just leave ABS on as full. In the centre then we do have a TFT screen, 5-inch. It's nice and clear. It's a bit of an overcast day today. You do have the ability to change it to day mode or night mode, or you can just leave it on auto. Looking at the top right of our handlebar, we've got the C1 and C2 button. They're going to be your quick action buttons. You can go into the settings of the bike and you can decide what C1 does and what C2 does. I've currently got my C1 set up as rider mode, so you push it forward and there you go. You get range, street performance, etc. Pick what you want. Just know if you do go into performance, and I'm assuming this is going to be the same for track, then C1 doesn't work. You have to go into the settings manually and leave performance for that quick action button to then work again. Don't ask me why. And then I've got C2 set up as the anti-dive. So anti-dive, I think first come on the 1290 Super Adventure, and I have tried that on that and it does work really well. As it stops the front end compressing too much. It stops the dive of the front end basically. So when you're grabbing a fistful, your front's not going in. So going out, anti-dive's on, and it dives a little bit because obviously there is a lot of weight and force going down. But after these corners I'll turn it off and we'll see how it handles. So anti-dive's off now. Yeah, see how much more I kind of go over my handlebars. The brakes on this are extremely sharp, so one finger is all you're going to need for kind of everyday riding, just your casual riding. And when you get onto the aggressive riding, should we say, 2 fingers. It's probably some of the strongest, sharpest brakes I've tested in a while. Almost to the point where you don't need any rear brake. Put anti-dive back on, what's the point in having it and not using it? We do have a keyless ignition and also a keyless gas cap. So keys in the pocket, as long as you're within the proximity of the bike it will register it. That's becoming quite common practice nowadays amongst manufacturers. When it comes to looking at the rest of the electronics on this bike, you've got LEDs at the front and rear, you've got your daytime running lights. Yeah, that's kind of it. And that's why I said it's like the middle of the pack with what tech it does have on it. Because let's face it, you're not buying this bike to do touring around Europe. You're buying this as your Sunday weapon. Like, there's not really many places to mount a phone or a sat-nav. Like, this is your hard, fast and aggressive bike, just the same as the Aprilia Tuono. Like, it's a very aggressive riding position. I am quite leant over onto the handlebars, there's quite a bit of pressure going through my wrists. Obviously naked, so there is no wind protection, so you're getting all that wind across your body. And that's kind of why I say naked bikes are the best for UK roads, because yeah, you can go fast. It's not comfortable, it's not pleasant going fast with a naked bike. You haven't got the bubble of a sports bike. Like my man there, tucked in behind his screen. I haven't got that luxury. I've done a small stint on the dual carriageway, and I can tell you exactly the same as my KTM GT. This bike doesn't like 6th gear. The only point where the vibration through the handlebars and the lugginess of the engine kind of dissipates is about 90 miles an hour above. And like I said, with the wind on this, when you start getting towards triple digits, it's not the best place to be. So you're only really going to be in like 5th gear, but this bike will love being in that 3rd, 4th gear range. And you can listen to that exhaust, stock exhaust. I think it sounds really good. It's obviously got its full cap box in there, so if you wanted to save a couple of kilos, you could look at changing that out. But if you're just after the sound of the exhaust, I wouldn't bother changing it. The anti-dive technology on this bike would be possible without having electronic suspension on this bike. So you do have controls in the settings to then go and adjust the dampening, the preload, etc. But I've got all mine set to standard auto, just to let it do its thing. I can guarantee the people that designed these systems are a lot more intelligent than me, so I am happy to leave it on auto and let the bike do the work for me. If you've seen anything about this 1290R, you will know there's another 2 variants. So you got the 1290R, the 1290R Evo, and then the 1290RR. You can pretty much add a couple of grand between each of those model lines. I've yet to ride the Evo or the RR, but let me know in the comments box below. Would you be picking this, or would you go for those other 2, the Evo or the RR? Perks of a motorcycle. Motorcycle. Good job, sir. Good job. So I've been on this bike about half hour, 45 minutes now, and the seat's okay. I'll hopefully do a couple of hours before I hand this back in. But KTM are notorious for having a hard seat. Don't ask me why, they just are. Probably because they want you to spend some extra cash dollar on getting a comfort seat, which will then be another £250. But where you are quite leant over, you haven't got a whole lot of weight through your bum through the seat, because obviously the more upright you are, the more weight goes through your bum straight down. I am finding the suspension quite hard, so I probably would have to go into the settings and play around, because there's multiple different settings for the suspension due to the electronicness. But I am a chunk of a man, coming in at 115 kilos, so that's probably why. Fatty boom boom. This bike isn't for the faint-hearted. It isn't for new riders. Don't get me wrong, there will be some new riders who can't get it. That's cool, that's up to them. But in my experience, to have a bike like this, to use it, to get the most out of it, you need to be an experienced rider, because this will catch you out at pretty much every turn if you're not careful. Like if you're in the wrong gear or the wrong rider mode, i.e. sport or performance, and you get a grip of that throttle when you twist it hard, you're going to be coming up. Yeah, it does have the anti-wheelie, but it still comes up a bit and then drops. It's just a very aggressive bike. Like, they got the 790 Duke, they got the 890 Duke. go and try one of them first, get used to this style of bike. Naked bikes aren't for everyone. You are exposed to the elements a lot more. If you think this is going to be the bike for you, get yourself booked on a test ride. I've managed to pull over, luckily, but as the UK does, the heavens are starting to open up, and this is definitely not a bike I want to be on the road when it's raining. But we'll have a quick walk around and I'm going to get this baby back. We've come to expect this very sharp, aggressive front end on pretty much most of the KTM lineup. Don't get me wrong, it does look good, and when it's coming towards you, you know exactly what brand it is without even thinking about it. Notoriously, the engine is pretty hot, and it is a little bit hot under leg. Lovely side-mounted exhaust, and then a beautiful single-sided swing arm. Tell me, what do you think of the orange and white, or orange and grey should I say? Do you prefer this one, or do you prefer the blue like I do? But before it gets any heavier, do a quick sound test. Like I said when we're on the road, actually for a stock exhaust, it sounds really, really good. And I don't mind the look of it either, so you know what? Probably one of the first stock bikes with stock exhaust that I wouldn't want to change if I was to buy this thing. No more talking, let's finish off this review on the road. So my final thoughts and opinions on this bike. I've had a little play around with the suspension, put it into the different settings, and across these back roads it is quite bumpy. I'd have to play around with some more, just to kind of get it dialed in for my weight in these type of roads. But it's almost like pogoing me off some of the bumps. The brakes are amazing, so sharp, really good. The engine, if you buy this bike for its Sunday ride capability where you're just going to be hooning around, then this bike is amazing. Like, so much power, so much grunt, wheelies everywhere if you want it to. Days and times like this where it's raining, ground's wet, it's muddy, it's slippery, this definitely isn't the bike for it. And that's what I say about it being a Sunday bike. If I had a choice between this and my old Aprilia Tuono 1100, I think I'd still go for the Aprilia. It's just the engine and the exhaust and the sound of that Aprilia, it's just nothing like I've been on in a long time. But that's not to take away from this bike's exhaust sound, because it sounds really, really good. As I have said, one of the first bikes where I wouldn't want to change the exhaust. It's obviously raining, so I am going to get out of here. Guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Plenty more sunny days to be had. Until the next one, ride safe.